am.
This is David Seth Cohen, and you're watching the Break It Down Show.
It's great. I love what I get to do. We both know John Coulson. That's how we connected. Want to say hey to John. I think he's still in Southern California. If not, he's headed back up north to Canada. Try to now that we got our good weather back here in LA. He's headed back up north. You make films, among other things. Let's talk a little bit about that and jump right in.
Sure. I've been doing this since in my 20s. So, I started out, got a job on the movie Big Daddy as a production assistant, worked on that, then worked on a movie in Miami called In the Shadows, came back, worked on another movie called Highlander Endgame, got out of film for a while and worked at a local TV station where I was hired as an associate producer, worked my way up from associate producer to producer, then to senior producer, and then ultimately to executive producer. I resigned from the station in 2006 to go ahead and make a documentary feature film. And in 2015, I made a narrative feature film as well. On top of that, I do create a lot of corporate videos, promotional videos, training videos, commercials, that kind of stuff. And I'm a professional photographer with work that's been published around the globe. That's pretty much my story.
That's a pretty good story. One of the reasons why I'm glad you went through all these things is just to illustrate that there are a lot of jobs and a lot of ways to make money in the entertainment industry, right? I've got friends that make music and they sell albums, but they get to elevate their name because Ford likes their music and it buys it for ads. I'm saying Ford, just that level of brand. Pepsi will say, this is great music. And Pepsi will also come and they'll say, hey, Dave, can you put together for us this commercial or this video? And there are so many places now where you need professional content all throughout your Pepsi universe, for lack of a better term. It's not just a commercial on a TV, it's all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, video is king. Nobody really wants to read a blog anymore. Excuse me. Pictures are great. But what do they say? A picture's worth 1,000 words. A video is 24 pictures per second. So you do the math. You're getting a lot across in a short amount of time, and just the way video kind of touches people. I think it's the most personal way to get anybody involved or to buy a product that you want. One of the things I specialize in are gala and fundraising films. So I help, essentially, I make films for nonprofit organizations to raise money for their charity and for their cause. And, these films, they need to be moving for people to open up their pockets. And so, video is just a really strong way to get your point across. Sorry, I'm choking on some water that I had before.
And it's like it never goes away, right?
Yeah.
And I'm over here trying to finish up my my snack that I had because I got behind schedule. So don't worry about it. We'll be okay. You made a couple of great points, and you just, again, like all of the places where you need professional level content. This week I'll be at the NAMM show. There is professional level content, whether it's design or film or sound, or just all kinds of things that go into, and just for anybody who's watching, NAMM is the music industry's professional convention. And so every brand, from Sony to the dude who makes, parts of the guitars in his garage, they're all there, right? And so you have all of this immersion into the arts, not just music, but film and audio and everything. It is a fantastic time to work in our industry. However, it is also just as hard as ever to scratch out a living, but you don't have to work for somebody else. But that also means if you work for yourself, you have all of the complexities and terror of working for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I just as an example, I have a shoot later on this month, and one of the crew members canceled on me last minute because he's got to have surgery. So, it's a lot of fixing problems. Sometimes they call producers fixers because, you're there and you fix problems. So, kind of just roll with the punches. And you got to be scrappy. You gotta have a good base and know how to connect with the proper people to make quality projects.
Yeah. When you go to a party, what is it that you say you do?
I say I create films, videos, and take professional photos for corporations and nonprofits. And I'm also a filmmaker, so I've created a feature film that's a documentary as well as a teen caper comedy. And I also then mentioned that I'm in development with a bunch of other projects.
Yeah. When you give all that out, even then it requires context, right? It's like all the success you have. If you took your level of success, you transferred over to being a comedian or an actor, you have to say, I'm an actor, and then here's like my world, right? And it can be fully developed. Like one of the guys we've had on the show a bunch of times. His name is Mark Pellington, and he makes movies. You two hired him to make their 3D movie. I mean, this guy is a guy. He's done all of the videos for all of the bands in the '90s. He's got a house in Hollywood. Most people don't know who he is. They maybe can name one film, or I say, oh, he made Arlington Road, and you're like, oh, I love that film, right? But you can't be any more successful than he is. He has a huge house in Beverly Hills, and yet he can be invisible. And so this industry is tough in that I viably make a good living. I've constantly got projects. I can't possibly work any more than I already do. And everybody's like, I don't know who this, because you're not Steven Spielberg or Mel Gibson or whoever it's going to be.
It's hard to be in that top echelon of, people. There's only a few that make it that far and that high. But yeah, I think the goal of everybody or every filmmaker or creator is really to get your work out there to a big audience to see. For me, my documentary Finding Sandler was completed in 2022, and watching an audience react to my movie was everything. I mean, it was worth all the blood, sweat, and tears that went into the project. When you see an audience laugh at something that you wanted them to laugh at, or to cry when you wanted them to cry, it's impactful to you. And that's kind of why I do what I do. I love people's reactions to things. It's probably why I say a lot of the things I say sometimes to people is, specifically because you want to get a reaction out of people. And that's, as a filmmaker, that's what you need.
I always say that affect beats effect any day of the week. And if I can find the emotion in a situation and draw it out, even if I miss a little bit, I'm way ahead of anybody who's just like, I shot 10 scenes today.
Yeah. No, like I said, I think the most important thing is to get a reaction out of people from your project. I have one film that I did, a commercial for a client. It's got over 1.2 million views on it on YouTube. That's fantastic. It's a huge accomplishment. Not a lot of, brands do that or get that. So that's kind of cool. But look, I love what I do, man. I'm blessed and lucky to be able to do what I do.
Yeah.
So many people want to be in this industry and have the work or just have any work.
Yeah.
And the fact that I've been able to do this now for over 20 years, it's huge. I'm so happy and grateful. When I'm on set, it doesn't feel like I'm working. I'm having fun. It's what I love to do.
Does it amaze you that this worked? I mean, because look, we're acting like you're on top of the world and everything's been easy, but everybody's got a story where they didn't think they were going to make it. You probably had to quit 5 times, even though you didn't, or you did. Tell us a little bit about the tough parts of the journey.
I mean, I've never quit. I never quit. I'm not a quitter, so I refuse to quit on any projects. Finding Sandler, there were times where I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm like done, but. There were other people involved in the project, and when there's other people, it's not just yourself. You don't want to let people down. I don't like to let people down. So I just keep grinding, keep going, keep pushing another day, get it done and move on to the next.
What's a bad day like for you with what you do? Like, what's a hard day?
Um, I don't know. I don't really. I guess when I don't have like a video to edit or a shoot to be on, and I just kind of do business development calls. I don't mind them. I love meeting new people and talking to people, but I'd much rather be creating than doing the business aspect. But I'm a small business, and so kind of like ends on me to do all the business development work right now. So not that I don't mind it, but
Yeah.
it's not a bad day. It's just not being on set or not actually editing is less fun for me than the others. I don't really consider what I do ever really having a bad day, honestly.
Mm.
Like I love what I do. So every
Yeah,
day
right.
that I do what I do, I love it.
It's possible to love what you do, and because you're in control of a lot of it as a producer, or the director of photography, or whatever role you're playing within your project. But you can also have a bad day. I mean, look, just Alec Baldwin had a bad day about a year ago, right?
Yeah.
Something that wasn't
He's
supposed
had
to
multiple
happen
bad
happened.
days since then.
Yeah. Yeah, and because of who he is and how notable he is and how like divisible he divides people, right? The days get bigger and harder and more challenging. But there is tightrope there, right? Like when you're in the entertainment industry, your name matters and the things that you do matter, but there are so many variables that you have to absorb the hit from. Like, look, think about, again, comedians 10 years ago, right? And what was funny then and what is absolutely unacceptable now. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, right? And so you don't even know you're on this tightrope and it's moving the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the world and the changing environment that we live in. Every day is a new day, everything's different.
Yeah.
There's always
Yeah.
going to be something. But, again, for me, it's like I'm not doing anything right now that's on the scale of an Alec Baldwin production. It's, so I don't have those big Alec Baldwin problems right now.
Yeah.
My biggest problem is if I have a video and I can't find the proper B-roll and I got to source it through stock footage, right now. Or if the audio is really bad and I got to spend a lot of time cleaning it up.
Yeah.
But, again, doing what I'm doing, making and creating film, video, doing photo shoots, like I can't complain. I don't have like your typical desk job. Like I'm not working for anyone else. I'm following my own dream. I'm working for my own dreams. So I
Yeah.
can't complain, like it's when it gets a little slow occasionally, which is usually in the beginning of the year, I get a little antsy and stuff like that. But every time I'm like getting antsy, something comes up. So it's I'm very lucky. Like I said, I'm lucky. I'm blessed. I've been doing this for a long time. Um, it's great. I love what I do.
Talk about the creative side. You're in some ways sitting in front of a computer and sourcing B-roll and editing and balancing audio and trying to figure these things out. That's also it's fun. I enjoy it too. I was sitting down this morning. I was editing an interview I have to publish for the show this week that's coming up for the NAMM show, and it can be frustrating in the moment trying to get everything lined up and to do what you want it to do and backing up, and then something moves and you're like, damn, the audio moved, and just trying to sort of those things out. So sometimes I know I've just got to get up and walk down the street and then accept that I'm just going to back up 25 steps and start that process again and just hopefully have it go tighter and better. So how do you keep your creative well filled? How do you keep yourself on task? How do you manage these things so that the tedium doesn't become tedious?
Well, the thing with me is I don't have the same project every day. So it's not, I'm not basically working with like, hey, this project is the same as the next day. Every project I do is different, whether it's a photo shoot, whether it's a video shoot, whether it's a film, whatever it may be, whether it's editing, it's not the same project all the time. And so it keeps it moving. You know what I mean? Like I don't get bored of it because it's not the same thing. And if it is a longer form project, like for example, my documentary, which was an hour and 19-minute movie, well then yeah, you need to take a break. You need to get up, you need to walk around, come back with fresh eyes a little later.
Right. Yeah.
But for me, I actually enjoy it. Like I like challenges. So for example, if there's like a word that I'm trying to get rid of in the middle of a sentence to match up to the next, I don't mind the challenge of getting rid of that word and making it sound smooth. I like it. To me, it's fun. So like what I do, I feel like is fun for me. So again, to me, it's more of a challenge, not a burden.
I'm reviewing a movie that Chuck Holton made. Chuck Holton is a war correspondent, and he's made a documentary, hour long, on Armenia and the Armenian fight from 2020 when Azerbaijan invaded Armenia and started conducting genocide operations. And you think about these kind of projects that we now can see from all over the world. Like we're so passionate about, well, at least we were, Ukraine, right? That's been about a year, so we're kind of like, man, who cares about that anymore? I got to change the icon of my social media away from that to something else. But we can really tell these incredible stories anywhere. There's atrocity going on in Yemen, in Libya, in whatever you want to call Burma, because they're not sure what they're calling it. There's all these stories, and I'm just talking about the atrocity side of things. Do you have a desire to grab your camera and go somewhere and tell an incredible story, whether it's grinding misery or, showcasing the best of people?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I'd love to film a lot more and everywhere in the world. But the realistic truth is, if there's not a budget involved, it's kind of like hard to do it.
Yeah.
I have a wife, I have a kid now. He's 6 months old, and
Congrats.
I'm not going to just go, like when I was 20 years old, or even younger, when I was living at home. You could go do whatever you wanted to do, and it didn't really matter. You didn't have anybody to fend for or anything. My responsibilities weren't there.
Right.
But nowadays, unless there's like a realistic budget of some sort, even if it's just a smaller budget, but something to be able to do it, I would do it. So if a company approached me and said, "Hey, we want to do X," and they had a budget for it, I would discuss it, and if it's something I can work with, I would be happy to do it, no matter where it is. Last year, I went to I shot 24 commercials around the country from one of my corporate clients, an agency that hired me to produce their spots. And, that was great. And there was a budget involved. And so I didn't mind, going away and doing what I had to do and enjoying it at the same time.
Yeah.
But, nowadays, if there's not a budget of any sorts, or no major, attachment of some sorts, it's hard to just go off on a whim and do it. Would I love to? Yeah, but my life doesn't dictate that anymore. Like it's not like that anymore for me.
Okay, so what do you get to do for you? Like, right? I mean, I get that it's great to work, but you're working on someone else's project. And again, wow, super lucky, super fortunate. But you must have a desire, like, man, I'm just going to carve out these. And a good example of Mark Pellington. He's like, between Thanksgiving and Christmas, I can do whatever I want in film. I can have something ready to go. I can shoot fast. Actors and actresses aren't working, and so a lot of them will give me some time, and then next thing you know, I've got a project on my desktop. So how do you fulfill your own need to tell your own story?
I really haven't done a passion project since I finished Finding Sandler in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't actually shot anything. With that said, I'm in development right now with an action comedy, which is like an animated series. And I have a partner on the script and on the project. And we've had I've had an animator begin doing like a teaser of it, which ultimately we'd like to start pitching to, networks and streaming services. So that I've been working on. on top of that, I'm also writing and collaborating with a few other people on different scripts, which ultimately will hopefully be made into either feature films or, again, series, depending on the project, right? So there's one project, it's a romantic comedy, and it's a feature film that I'm working on. I'm also working on a couple of reality show projects. My company's editing a reality show right now for Discovery. So, there's a bunch of stuff kind of always going on. As far as passion, though, the action comedy animated series, that's at the top of my list right now, along with the rom-com feature script.
Yeah. What do you have in your slate in the future? What do you want to get done that's not even in pre-production right now? Like, what do you want to get into pre-production?
Well, all those projects right now that I just mentioned, those are in development. So that hasn't started. Pre-production hasn't started on that. Mm-hmm. I have another project which I want to get back to. We had raised $2.5 million from a single investor for this script, but we only had a certain amount of time to match the money, and unfortunately, we weren't able to match it in the time frame that was allotted. So I'd like to get back to that. It's called The Ball Boy. It's a tennis comedy. Then I have a couple of other like comedy films that I want to ultimately write. There's also a drama that I just recently outlined that I want to write. But again, there's only so many hours in a day.
That's right.
And with a 7-month-old, it's you want to spend as much time as you can with the kid as well. So my dreams are kind of on hold for a little bit while I focus on enjoying my son.
Yeah. How do you balance the writing? Are you able to do it really reliably at all, or is there just not enough time in the day?
Well, so the rom-com I'm working on is with a writing partner that we're collaborating. So that's kind of only when we collaborate. He's actually doing like a draft on his end, and then I'll come in and work on the draft with him. Mm-hmm. As far as the other project I mentioned, the action comedy series, it's called Code of the Samurai. We already have a pilot script written for that. So now it's a matter of just getting this teaser ready to go where we can show it. That's pretty much it.
What's the next tier for you then? Like, where do you if we can just get over this next hump, we'll now be able to, whatever it is, reliably pitch ideas that people say yes to. Like, it's one thing to get an audience at Netflix or whatever plant, there's so many channels, Paramount, whatever it's going to be, right? That's another thing to have to know, like, I can sell this project. There's no doubt about it. Which, where are you at? Like, do you feel like the next project you're going to be able to get over the hump and you'll have enough stuff behind you that they'll see that you're bankable? Are you bankable now? What's your confidence level when it comes to pitch season that you can get something sold?
Yeah, I mean, I think this series that I was telling you about, the animated series, I think that's something that could absolutely sell. Okay. And I would be shocked if people turned it down because it's such a great project. It's original. Right. It's really funny, and it's got a lot of action. It's a great project. So I'd be pretty shocked if that doesn't get somewhere. So I think, I'm going to do my best to pitch it. You never know what happens, everything in life, nothing in life is just given to you. You need to keep pushing, and then I'm going to keep pushing until something kind of sticks. Yeah. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we will see what happens.
Yeah.
Just to get to the level where you're at though, right? Like to be able to, again, like, I know I can sell this thing will work, this project will work. Talk a little bit about how hard it is to get a project that's that great. Because I always say, like, great ideas are common, especially in our industry, right? Like, great ideas. Oh my gosh, I don't even care about your idea. Have you even written a script yet? Have you written 10 scripts? Have you improved the 10 scripts you've got and got another 10? Are you an idea machine, right? Like, people don't understand that there are only so many movies that get made. Even though it seems like there's a lot, it is not many movies at all. You and I both know, like, if you want to elbow your way in, because there's people there that don't want to let you in, you've got to be, like you're saying, be relentless to get that chance to make that movie or to make that TV show. It's not just show up with a great idea.
No, it's getting one person that can elevate you to say yes, to say, oh, I love this and I'm bringing it in. And that's kind of what has to happen, right? So you just need that one person to kind of walk you into the door.
Yeah.
So, like I said, just keep pushing, keep trying, somebody will see something in a project. If it's the right project, not every project's the right project. I can look back at some of my old projects and after like taking a step back and looking at them, like they weren't that great, but these next bunch of projects that I have, I truly believe in. I really think that they're top tier and deserving of being out there. With that said, the studio system is excellent, but people can still make independent films. Now, I was reading an article recently, and I was amazed at the fact that, to make your money back on a movie, your film needs to essentially be either like $1 million and up. But if you make your film and in that $1 million and up, you need an A-list star, right? If you were to make a movie for $50,000 and under, you also have a good chance, about 40% or so, to make your money back. And that's with no-name actors. So filmmakers that can't get into the studio system, if they're making really, really low-budget movies, they might have a chance to make their money back. So, look, you got to just keep trying. You got to just keep trying. And, like I said, if you could show that you're making profit on your projects and you could keep making them, then God bless.
We had Jason Keller on the show right as Ford versus Ferrari was hitting, like right in the middle of like all of the buzz about it before the Oscars even happened. And he's like, yeah, that took me 10 years. He's like, think about how hard it is to sell a project. It's a period piece with race cars in multiple locations. He's like, come on, forget about it. Like, how do you sell this thing? And so even though his project ended up being great, he had to wait 10 years. The timing had to line up, and he had to share writing credit with the Butterworth brothers and be dunk, dunk, dunk on the bottom of that list. Those guys deserve their billing because they're great, but all of that stuff had to happen for him to get his great idea and get those statues that he got, because it just ain't easy, But boy, what a movie, right? Like, what a win. But how much do you have to give up to get there? And it is painful when you look back at that.
Yeah, you got to give up what you got to give up. I mean, it's like any business, if you want somebody involved that has the experience or has the connections, you're going to have to give something up to get them. And, obviously you just got to, weigh your options. Is it worth it to me? Will this ultimately get me to the point in life where I want to be? Will it get me some notoriety? And hopefully for him, it did. I would assume it did. I mean, he got some statues, and the movie was a great movie, So, props to him. It's a great thing.
It is a great thing. It is like, this is like the reason why I want to have this part of the conversation is people don't realize, when you look again at the writing credits, this is his story, right? He wrote this thing, but to get it made, it had to be that the Butterworth brothers came in and helped him tune it up, right? And it's just like, man, this thing was great already, but there's rules, there's hierarchies, there's money to be made. And here's the other thing too is, and I don't know how Jason did in the movies, I'm sure he did great, right? But then all the producers come in and they all stack themselves above everybody else. They all get paid first for whatever they bring to the party. And it is a very rank ordered industry, and incredibly so. And there's so much responsibility. Tom Cruise can make whatever he wants now, right? But he makes very specific things within that world. They do well. But like when these next two Mission Impossible movies come out back to back years, he gets to do that because of his 50 years in the industry. Yeah,
that's how it is. He's earned it. And not only that, but he's a huge box office draw.
Oh yeah. Is he the biggest draw right now?
I don't know who is, but he's huge. I mean, you have Tom Cruise in your movie, you're going to make money. It's a no-brainer.
Right.
So he's worth every penny.
When you write a project, your rom-com or whatever it's going to be, do you have people in mind? And are you shooting for the stars? Are you looking for like, oh, this is perfect for whatever, Toni Collette, who's a very successful actress, but a lot of people don't know who she is.
Yeah. Sometimes it depends on the project. For the tennis comedy that I had written,
Right.
we definitely had some stars in mind to play roles. But we also had a list of like 5 others just in case that person would not have been interested.
Yeah.
Obviously the goal of every filmmaker, most filmmakers would love to have a star in their movie and would think of people for that part. But, you can't always get a star. It's not the easiest thing. You need money. They want money. It's show business, man. It's all about the dollar or whatever the money is.
Right. Yeah. The yen, the dollar, whatever it's going to be. Yeah. I like framing these things because it's not as straightforward as we ever want it to be. Again, like, go write your movie and go figure it out. But then this whole thing is a business. Like, what you want to do is go create things, right? But you don't get to create what you want. And also you have to deal with the business side of things. These things don't all work together in a way that anybody anticipates when they get into the business.
Yeah, nothing's easy, man, especially in this business. There's a lot to do. It's not one person can't do it all. You need a team.
Right now I need a team to get my dog to be quiet.
What kind of dog you have?
A barking dog, and it's fun because dogs bark. I don't care about that, but I'm trying to get her to pay attention. She can't hear or see good enough to do those things. When you describe hey, I'm a producer, I make these things, I edit, I shoot, and all those things. What project are you most proud of? Like when you say, oh man, you have to watch this, or what have I seen you in? Right, that's always the big question. What thing are you the most proud of at this point, and is that anywhere near the peak of where you think you'll be in say 10 years?
I mean, for like a long form project, I'm super proud of Finding Sandler. I think it's a fun documentary. It's entertaining. It's got comedy. It's got heart. I think it's got a lot of the great elements that make up a really cool movie. So long form, I would say Finding Sandler right now is, the project I'm most proud of. Short form, I created a film. It was like 6 minutes for a nonprofit for the American Heart Association. And it was about this girl named Gianna who was a dancer and had heart complications and issues and kept passing out when she would dance. She was a dancer. And she ended up in the hospital multiple times. And they finally figured out what it was, and she needed open heart surgery. And when she got out of surgery, the first thing she said to her parents was, I want to dance, and I want to dance at nationals, and I want to win. And nationals was like 6 months later. Mm-hmm. And everyone's like, oh, just get better, just focus on your health. And lo and behold, 6 months later, she goes to nationals and wins.
Damn.
And it was awesome. And that film ended up, it was done for a local chapter of the Heart Association. It ended up on the corporate site. She got paraded around the tri-state area with the film, raising money everywhere for the Heart Association. And it ended up getting written up in multiple papers, including the Huffington Post. She also ended up on, I think it was either Good Morning America or the Today Show, where her idol from Dancing with the Stars, Val, came to meet her. So it ended up like blowing up into this big thing. Quality wise, it's probably not the best looking film I've ever done, mm-hmm. but the content was so powerful and moving that I absolutely love it. Yeah.
How do you make that in 6 minutes? I mean, that seems shocking, right? Like we think about all of these TikTok videos that are 15 to 60 seconds. You are doing just a little bit longer and you're having that kind of impact. How do you sort that shot list out? How do you write it to be that crisp?
It wasn't written. It was put together through interviews, B-roll, and photos. Mm-hmm. So it was it was like a documentary, a short form doc.
Yeah.
I just did another one of those for a company called NADAP. It's another like, emotional film. It's you get the story from the interview with whoever you're talking to, and then you put it together, and that person, and like, so for the Heart Association film, it was Gianna, her parents, her dance instructors. There were multiple interviews. The film could have been longer than 6 minutes, but the goal was to keep it under 7.
Yeah. It's amazing what you can do, especially when the content is strong like that, right? A kid, a comeback story, a vision, and then completion of the vision. Oh my gosh, it's incredible.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
Is comedy your home genre?
I love comedy. I mean, it's definitely my favorite thing to do, but I'm really good with drama and like the emotional as well. So I don't like back myself into a corner and say I can only do comedy. I can do anything. I do anything. Because like I said, I like challenges. So it doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah. How do you avoid tropes and on the nosiness? I mean, so many times, as much as I love the new Top Gun movie, they did a couple of those callbacks, like "Talk to me, Goose," that kind of thing, and it's just too much for me, man. It took me out of the movie. You kind of have to have it, but do you? I don't know.
I kind of like that stuff. It was it's like when you watch the Karate Kid show, Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
Like they bring the callbacks there. It makes it fun. It's like it brings your childhood back. I mean, when was the original Top Gun made? The 80s, right? So you're talking what? A number of years later. Like, you have to bring those callbacks back. You got to bring back Goose. You got to bring back Iceman. That's what made the movie so special, those callbacks. I mean, listen, it was a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
But that was like what most people are going to see it because of the original Top Gun. Just like Cobra Kai, when somebody went to go see Cobra Kai, it's because of the original Karate Kid movies. In Cobra Kai, when he went back to Okinawa and saw his love interest, the female, that was huge. It was awesome. It was what a great concept, what a great idea. I personally love that stuff. I don't think it's bad in any way to do that.
Does it become too much though? I mean, there's still some on the noseness for it though, like to have callbacks and have you can get into the cheese zone, and it's okay to dip into the cheese every now and then, but sometimes, man, it's just too much. And I know it takes me out of the movie a lot. Like when it's like, oh, here it comes, I can see it here. Oh, Spock shock. Oh no, kind of thing. And again, a little bit, yeah, but when you keep doing it, it's no longer a callback. It's too much of an homage, I think, for my taste.
Listen, that's why everyone's entitled to their own opinion, right?
Yeah, that's true.
What you like, I might not like, and what I like, you might not like. And ultimately, it doesn't really matter what we think. It's the filmmakers that made it and their option of what they want to do.
Yeah.
We don't have a say, and that's part of the whole process, right? You go, you watch it. You want to troll it, you can troll it. If you love it, you can talk. You can talk highly about it. It's free speech.
Is Caddyshack a good movie?
I thought Caddyshack was funny. I haven't seen it in a really long time, but I enjoyed it. I mean, I love, like, Rodney Dangerfield is one of my favorite actors of all time. He's great. And Ted Knight was fantastic. Bill Murray was hilarious. And it was a great cast. I mean, I don't know if it would hold up today as much as it did back in the day, but I think when I saw it last time, I thought it was funny.
Yeah, that's a good question. Like, can someone make? I'm just going to be honest here in terms of the craft of making movies. Not a high quality movie. Like, if you've got incredible talent, people. I love Ted in that movie. He's hilarious. Chevy Chase, but all of it, right? They're all great. But that movie, in terms of like how it's put together, it doesn't make any damn sense. It just kind of careens all over the place. Would someone give someone just kind of an open budget and allow all of the partying that went on, or would there be a lot more corporate oversight, do you think?
I mean, I think if you have that many stars in a project, then they're going to give you the budget to do whatever the heck you want because it'll probably be successful. Look at Adam Sandler's movies; they're not all like great, but he gets massive budgets and he can do what he wants because he gets talent and he makes the money. So it's once you're in the game, if you have enough stars in a project, people are gonna want to watch it. You know.
Yeah, yeah. What do you want to see more of? Like, is there a sequel you would love to see from all the movies in the last couple of decades?
I don't know. That's a tough question. I don't know. You know. I
Have you
think
seen enough sequels?
I enjoy sequels. I mean, I think like listen, there's so many freaking Marvel movies now, and it's so saturated with all that. But I mean, like back in the day, like I loved the Back to the Future movies, and those sequels were great. I thought. Um, I'm not one to be able to really give my opinion because I'm not the one funding them.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
um,
But I mean, do you want to see another Back to the Future? Or be like, I've been there. It's good. Let's not worry about it
I
anymore.
would see another Back to the Future movie. I love it.
Okay,
Yeah, I love
okay.
Star Wars movies. I keep seeing Star Wars movies.
Do you really? You go
I
back to
do.
those again and again?
I don't watch them again and again anymore. Like when I was younger,
Hmm.
I used to watch, New Hope and Empire and Return. And
Yeah,
I really did enjoy the first one in the series. I forgot what that was called in the newer ones. What was
right.
it? I forgot what it was called.
I can't remember. There are a lot of
The
them.
first J.J. Abrams one I really liked. The
Yeah.
second one, like, it was okay. Like the third one, I didn't really love either. Like Rise of Skywalker. I don't know. I don't think they did justice to close the franchise off. I actually recently heard that now they're doing another film with Daisy Ridley for the Rey character that's going to take place after she calls herself Rey Skywalker or before the whole thing. But again, like I'm not the one fronting the money, and they're not
Yeah,
coming
but
to me.
I'm not asking that guy. I'm talking to you, and so I'm curious.
But
And I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I don't
personally, like I didn't love the last two Star Wars films. I thought they were okay. I enjoy The Mandalorian. I think it's fun.
Mhm.
Boba Fett was okay. I'm excited to see the new one about the female Jedi, Ashoka or something. I don't know the exact terminology. Um, you know, Marvel, like I'm having a hard time getting into all the different characters. I love Spider-Man. The last Spider-Man guy they had was funny. He was cool. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I personally, for me, I can't do the any of the superhero comic book movies anymore. Occasionally, I'll do one of them, but I just it's like when I watch a situation comedy. I've seen them all. I watch Cheers. And then you see like, oh yeah, I've seen this setup before. Oh, this is the one when Woody does this, but it's not Woody, it's some other character,
Yeah,
And so if you do develop a familiarity and a saturation, but then again, I'm probably not the audience for a lot of these things because
exactly.
the young kids today haven't watched MASH or whatever it is that I saw when I was a kid.
Right. I mean, we're a different generation, man. Even I'm a different generation than
Yeah,
nowadays.
yeah.
And I mean, I love Superman, the original Superman movies with Christopher Reeve. I mean, I love those. I've been having a
Hmm.
hard time connecting to the newer ones. I mean, I thought Man of Steel was pretty good, but
Hmm.
it was dark. I liked the funny Supermans back in it. Like Christopher Reeve was great. He was fun. It was funny. There was some good stuff.
Yeah.
It's a different animal these days, like, and all these projects. Marvel's at least now like has sense of humor with their characters and stuff. So we'll see if the DC universe can change that. I know like James Gunn was brought in to make some changes. So we'll see. I mean, I'll always go see a Superman movie. Maybe not in the theaters. Maybe I'll wait till it comes out.
Okay.
But I like that kind of stuff. So I think it's cool.
I used to love going to the movies. I saw Top Gun in the movie theater, but I don't know that I'll go to the movies to see them anymore. It's something has changed for me in terms of the theater experience. And I don't care about IMAX and bigger IMAX and even more IMAX after the IMAX that's bigger. I don't care about all that. I just want to have a good environment for seeing a movie. And I just find that my house is just a better place.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anything compares to an actual theatrical experience.
Hmm.
Unless you have a home theater in your home. I mean, like a legit theater.
Yeah.
Nothing compares to being in a movie theater. Let's be real. I mean, the sound, the picture, it's fantastic. But with like a 70-inch TV and good surround sound, it's not bad. So
yeah,
it depends. There are some movies that I want to see in the theater just because they're made for the theater.
for sure.
But
Yeah,
then others, it doesn't matter as much.
it's a tough bar to get over because we've seen all of the special effects, it seems like, right? And it gets like more outlandish and more bigger, and so they make a movie that's big enough to fill the screen with all the effects and everything, but then the stories often seem to suffer. Like it becomes the movie is servicing the effects rather than a storyline. And look, you can plug your B line in there and your soft love story and everything, but it's hard to make those things work. And right now I'm thinking about the last Pearl Harbor movie with Ben Affleck, and it was okay. It was okay, but it's like it's too big. Like I don't know if you could make a great epic film right now. It's a weird time. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, Top Gun was pretty epic.
I think you can. I mean, again, it's everybody has their own opinions on what's great and what's not great, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah. I definitely think that there have been a number of great films that have been made over the last bunch of years. And, look, as long as there's still audiences going to see the movies, then they're going to keep making them.
Yeah. What about theater? Do you ever go see any theater or opera or symphony, any of that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I haven't gone to the theater in a while. It's been a number of years, probably since before the pandemic. But I love theater. Yeah, I've seen a bunch of really cool shows. I hate to date myself, but like Les Miserables, Phantom of the Opera, that kind of stuff. Miss Saigon, I saw years ago. So yeah, I enjoy shows. I just haven't gone in a long time. Not to say that I wouldn't. Just haven't gotten tickets and gone. And now it's kind of hard with a baby. So not really going a lot to a lot of places. I haven't seen a movie in a theater in a while. I wanted to actually see the Avatar movie in the theaters, but you can't bring a baby for 3 hours into a movie theater. It'll never work. So kind of been holding off on that.
I just went and saw a premiere of a play in a local theater. It's going to be a nationwide premiere. It's LA, so things get out really big. But it's called. I should the title right here. Did you see what Walter Paisley did today? And it's set in San Francisco, and it's the Beatnik era, and he's this artist that does things, and it's a musical. It's got like a Sweeney Todd and Little House of Horrors kind of vibe to it and everything. And it was just great. It was fantastic. It was funny. And there's something about, I think, a play that movies can't do because you have that personal connection. Like a regular theater just isn't that big. Even if there's 1,000 people in there, they do a great job of just putting these things on and focusing the light on something. And I don't know why they're so different for me. Maybe it's because of my age and I've seen every single movie ever made, basically. And you just get a little tired of it. But I just love theater right now.
Yeah, no, listen, theater is great. It's a bunch of talented people. It's very different. It's a different medium than film. I mean, you can only tell so much with theater. You can only show so much in a theater as opposed to like a film. You could show way more.
Yeah.
Theater's on stage, so it's but yeah, I mean, I think plays and musicals are fantastic.
Yeah.
I actually had a guy approach me a number of years ago. He wanted to turn my documentary into a musical.
No kidding.
Yeah, and he wrote a script, but like I always felt like the script needed a bunch of work, and so I don't know, I never like went through it enough to kind of give honest, solid feedback on it. So it's kind of just been on hold.
Yeah. Who needs to have a documentary done about him? Who do you want to learn more about that has kind of been forgotten?
Oh man, I don't know. Well, I've been working on a script for a number of years. It's kind of been held up it's been on the shelf, but it's a movie, a biopic about Eddie Rickenbacker.
Okay.
So, haven't haven't gotten really far with that, but he's got an interesting story. You know, he was a race car driver and then a fighter pilot. And he almost died like 9 times, like near-death experiences. So he's got some story. And I'd like to get that to a point where it's sellable in someday. As far as like documentaries go, I don't know. I mean, there are a lot of interesting characters out there.
Yeah.
Like Warren Buffett's an interesting guy. Elon Musk is an interesting guy.
For sure.
Tony Robbins is really interesting. There's people that I know that are interesting. You could do a documentary on anybody. It's true. No matter how you tell the story and if people want to watch it.
I'm making one for my grandfather that I never met. My biological father and I and our family, we've all reconnected in the last year and a half. And I said, I think I can bring my grandpa, your father, back to life through all of our living stories and the archives that they have. And so I'm in the middle of doing that. And I'm no documentarian. However, as soon as you make a documentary, you become a documentarian. So I'm trying right now to figure all the parts out. Like there's the story. I'm not in any way worried about the interviews. I'm not really worried about the sound. It's just the structure that I'm trying to grasp for. And it's there. I know how to do it. I've got friends that can talk me through it. The lenses, the color of the lighting, how I shoot things, all of these things are like on the edge of my capability. But, here I am. I'm doing it. Again, if I can do this, almost anybody can do it. Yes, I've done this for a lot, right? And I'm really good at this whole thing. But when you add in the other pieces, man, oh man, it gets to be a lot. But here we are. I'm gonna right now. My shot list and my story has me at about an hour 10, right? Wow. So 70 minutes, right?
That's a feature-length doc right there.
I know, right? Yeah. Let me make sure I put your website up here. Yeah. So I guess what I'm saying is people in general should find something, and doesn't have to be perfect. You can make an indie level. Everybody go to David's website, davidsethcohen.com, in case you're listening, and it's fast, double time speed, davidsethcohen.com. And go check out his work there. Anyhow, so he's a World War II pilot, greatest generation dude. He was a star athlete in high school and just the beginnings of college before the war jumped off. And so look at all this stuff there is, right? But that stuff is really all act one. He really was this great, incredible father. And that's what everybody cares about. And so those are the things where like, I'm going to set the stage where like all these things happen and it ramps and ramps. But then, like the other day I was talking to my Uncle Bill and I said, I'm not doing an interview, right? We're just looking through archives. And so he's already kind of in the nostalgia lake. And I say, how was your dad great? Instant misty eyes. And so it's there. I just got to continue to slowly piece this thing together.
Yeah. Well, you could also string it in with a little voiceover in between if you need to connect the dots.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. And some B-roll and some shots of archival things, like we've got his wings and check this out. This is crazy. He was at 2 of the big thermonuclear bomb blasts in the 50s.
Wow.
He was at those things. Yeah.
That's crazy.
It is crazy, right? Yeah. It's this insane story. But what was he? He was a father. And that's really what mattered, and married his high school sweetheart. And he has just this all-American, greatest generation kind of story. And if not for my desire to do it, he would stay dead. But I get to reanimate him and tell this great story. So anyhow, it's cool to be in this line of work with you and other people. What do you have any questions for me? Do you want to close with anything else? We've been going for almost an hour. I want to make sure I give you time to close house and do whatever you want to do.
I've definitely said enough. I wanted to say that I think it's really cool what you're doing with your grandfather.
Thanks.
Part of me getting into what I'm doing was probably because of my grandfather. I mean, I became a photographer because of my grandfather. Yeah. When he passed away, my grandma told me to go through his stuff, and I found not only like a 16 millimeter film camera, but also like an actual still camera, an Ichromat, which had a couple lenses. And so I learned how to shoot stills because of my grandfather, because his camera was there. And I was like, oh, I want to play with this thing. Yeah. So I commend you on, what you're doing. I think it's cool that you're, trying to bring them back to life. And I wish you the best of luck with that project.
Yeah.
What are your plans on doing? What do you plan on doing with it when you're, finished? Is it just to show the family? Are you planning on putting it into a festival? Like what's your ultimate goal?
I really have to start thinking about this because I'm about to start actually capturing things, right? And right now it's a family project, but I'm doing it. I have the time. I sort of have I have the resources, but not the budget. But I can find budget, and it doesn't take that much to do this either. So I don't know. What's your advice? I mean, if I can put together a solid 60 to 70 minutes, should I put it in a festival?
I mean, that's a feature-length movie. So if you think that audiences will want to watch it, aside from your family, then go for it. But, if it's just for the family, keep it in the family.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's a non-answer if I ever heard one.
Well, it's kind of hard to give you a proper answer because I haven't seen the movie yet. So I can't tell you if it's quality work. If it's a good movie and it's moving and you think other people will enjoy it, then I would put it into festivals. Why not? What do you have to lose except for some money that you're going to put up to put it in the festivals?
Yeah. Yeah. What does it cost to put a film into a festival? What does that cost?
Every festival is different, and it also depends on like the deadline. So if you hit like an early deadline, it'll be cheaper than if you do like a late deadline. Yeah. So you got to figure out which festivals you want to submit to, what their deadlines are, and then hit them.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it.
So it's like it could be anywhere from like, $20 to like $110 or more.
Yeah, but it's not like cost prohibitive to submit these things.
I mean, if you submit to 10 festivals and you're spending $110, that's $1,100 out of your pocket to submit to festivals.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So it depends on, it depends on your financial situation, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I live very humbly. Yeah. All right. Well, listen, I appreciate you coming on. Let's definitely get you back on when you've got the next project to talk about so people can lift you up, your work and everything else. Everybody should go check you out over at davidsethcohen.com. And I'm going to say it again slow in case you're listening fast. davidsethcohen.com. That's where all his projects are and everything. You can go check out the documentary Finding Sandler at findingsandler.com. You guys all got that. I'm going to roll these credits here. Stand by 1 second. I'll come back to you, Dave. Hey, thanks for watching the show. I really appreciate it. Right here, you can subscribe. Please do that. It makes the show grow. Hit that notification bell so you know which incredible guest is coming up next. Down below is the PayPal link. You can put a small subscription in. That is an enormous help. All that money goes right back into the show. And then right up over here are the next episodes you should listen to.